Hey guys, this is Mr. Denson along with Mr. Martin. We will be your social studies teachers for the eighth grade, along with Miss Couch for this year. It's good to be with you. I know we have unique circumstances this year heading into at least the start of the school year, but we're glad to have a new format to present to you. So we're going to do the best that we can to provide the information and make it as smooth a transition as possible. Have no idea how long we'll be in this format, but like I said, we'll do the best that we can moving forward. Today, we want to just give a brief introduction and overview of where we're headed for this year. And we'll get through probably 7 or 8 slides. We'll start with our bell ringer to get us going, and we'll hit a few key topics. And then we'll end with a small assignment, which, of course, you can find the assignment in the Google Classroom along with this PowerPoint presentation. And that is due, of course, on Friday. And that will be the 4th of September. So that'll be your first and second assignments will be due by Friday at the latest. Make sure, of course, anytime you have any questions, concerns, comments, to let us know, to reach out to us. And as you know, also we'll be coming to you live through Google Classroom, through the Google Meets platform as well. So we will have a couple of different ways to communicate with you as we progress over the next at least 4 weeks through the end of September. So I'll let Mr. Martin get us going here, and we'll get to the first lesson. We'll try to make it 10 to 15 minutes tops. And like I said, we're going to give a brief introduction into what we will be covering this year, and then we'll get into the content. Mr. Martin.
All right, so this year you're going to be learning U.S. history. We're going to start with how people got here, how people migrated into the New World. We go all the way through American history until we get to the Civil War, and we end this course with Reconstruction. In high school, your junior year, you will pick back up at Reconstruction, and you'll go to present-day time. So today we're going to start you off, and our first bell ringer is going to be, what is culture? Culture is very important in social studies. Culture is something that we have to look at. No matter what we're studying, we got to look at those aspects. So as your bell ringer, I'm going to pause for 10, 20 seconds, and I want you to start jotting down some things that would go into culture. So an easy definition would be your way of life. So I'm going to pause. So immediately, hopefully, you've started to write down some of those things. One thing that comes to mind would be your language. In this country, we have a lot of English-speaking people. We also have Spanish-speaking people, and so forth. Another thing is religion. You're in an area in Kentucky that's considered the Bible Belt. So religion is very important to your culture in this area. Another part of your way of life might be sports. Start thinking about how much sports is part of your life. Think about how you've been without sports over the last few months and maybe how that's affected you. At the very end of this lesson, we're going to come back to culture, and we're going to give you an exit slip. So be thinking about those things, Mr. Denson.
Now, if we're talking about culture and the textbook definition, I thought Mr. Martin did a really good job of explaining culture and relating that to Kentucky and what's close to us here in this area, in this region. But the textbook definition of culture is a group's set of common values and traditions, including language, government, and your family relationships. So all those aspects help make up your culture. So like Mr. Martin said, keep that in mind as we move forward. So our next slide here, as we get into the presentation, is the earliest Americans. Mr. Martin.
Okay, so the earliest Americans. You have 2 I can statements that you're going to be looking at today. I can explain how climate changes allowed Paleo Indians to begin the first migration to the Americas. And the I can describe the early societies that existed in Mesoamerica and South America. You'll be familiar with some of these. You have heard of the Mayan. You may have heard of the Aztecs and the Inca, but we'll also go into some other ancient civilizations such as the Olmec. Mr. Denson.
Now, okay, guys, we're going to pick up with our first main idea for this lesson is that climate change allowed people to migrate to the Americas. Now, the Paleo Indians crossed the Bering Land Bridge from Asia to what is present-day Alaska during the last ice age between 38,000 and 10,000 BCE. Don't know for sure when, but that's the dates that most scientists will give you as a range of when Paleo Indians crossed the Bering Land Bridge. Now, about 8,000 BCE, Earth's climate grew warmer. Ice age ended. Rising temperatures melted the glaciers. Water levels in the oceans rose, and the Bering Land Bridge was covered once again with water. Now, Paleo Indians and their descendants moved into what is present-day Canada, the U.S., and Mexico, and South America as they continued the migration. Now, guys, keep in mind that when we're talking about migration, we want to keep in mind that we're talking about tens of thousands of years moving across one region to the other. We're used to thinking of going on vacation and it taking us 2 days by car, or we migrate from one state to the next or one country to the next, and it's a very quick process. We're talking about thousands and thousands of years of groups of people slowly migrating.
Okay, this next slide, you're looking at where people originated and times that those people migrated throughout the world, and it gives you a lot of different years. Now, if you pull up this map on 20 different websites, you may see different numbers, and that's because scientists are coming up with their theories about when people moved and why they moved. Now, when we look at the Paleo Indians, which we're talking about today, which is of vital importance to North America and South America, you're looking at the reason. They didn't just decide to take off on a Sunday stroll. They moved around back then following their food source. And you may wonder, why would they follow mammoths? Why follow such a big animal? And the reason for that is it was kind of like our Plains Indians out west that followed the buffalo. They used this mammoth for all their way of life, all their part of their culture. They used the bones for tools. They used the hides for clothing, for structures, and of course it's their food source. So where the mammoths went, those Paleo Indians went. They would be considered, as we call them today, as very nomadic. Looking at this next slide, we wonder, how do they kill a mammoth? Well, there's a traditional way. You can get a small mammoth away from the herd and kill the mammoth. Or, in this case, they're running the mammoth off of a cliff. The mammoth will fall to the bottom of the cliff, and the Paleo Indians will go down and they'll finish the animal off. Mr. Denson.
So our next slide here, guys, we're almost done with the first lesson. We have a couple of slides left. We want to show you a quick, approximately 4-minute video. So you go ahead and follow along as we present the video here.
There have been many theories as to where the first people to get to the New World originated from. And now, thanks to DNA, we likely have a definitive answer. Hey everyone, thanks for watching D News today. I'm Trace. We humans have a couple million years behind us, and it's taken us nearly that entire time to spread across this planet. Anthropologists know for a fact humans evolved in what is now Ethiopia and Somalia. Eventually, modern humans stood up and started walking out of Africa. But not long afterward, things got a bit blurry. By following the fossil record, humans moved from Eastern Africa into South Africa and over the Arabian Peninsula. And then, over thousands of years, modern Homo sapiens migrated throughout Europe and Asia, supplanting or interbreeding with populations of Neanderthals and Homo erectus. Eventually, modern humans spread to the New World and populated there, or here, too. But how humans made it over here, and the map makes it look so far, has been a puzzle without a lot of answers, and a lot of hypotheses, until DNA was discovered. Before DNA, scientists looked at fossils and traits in the geologic record and theorized humans moved onto a land bridge, which existed between Asia and North America. The Bering Land Bridge probably conjures pictures of, well, like a tiny little bridge. But it's a bridge like France is a bridge from Spain to Germany. It's also called the Bering Plain. It's humongous. The land bridge was a massive amount of land which connected the two continents of Asia and North America. People moved onto the bridge 23,000 years ago, then moved off of the bridge maybe 15,000 years ago. That's what we thought. And now new science has confirmed most of that theory and added even more specifics as to how First Peoples or Native Americans found their way onto this continent. A new paper in Science sequenced the genomes of 23 ancient individuals and 31 living native peoples and found a very specific genetic history. DNA carries with it a step-by-step record of interbreeding and adaptation in its billions of quad-coded nucleobases. Since the human genome was completely sequenced in 2003, we don't know what everything in there does, but we do have this baseline. And here's what happened. No more than 23,000 years ago, Amerindians, as they called them in the paper, moved from Siberia in a single wave and settled in the north for thousands of years. From there, they split into two groups about 13,000 years ago. We know that the glaciers were receding about then. That meant the land bridge was shrinking. One group settled throughout North America, and the other settled in Central and South America. Incredibly, they pinpointed the 13,000-year split figure based on DNA from the remains of a single 12,600-year-old boy. As they sequence more ancient individuals, though, they're going to get even more precise migration estimates. But that's not all. They also answered the long-wondered question, where did these people originate from? According to the genetic information, Native Americans have a small mix of genes from East Asians and Austro-Melanesians. Australoid and Melanesians are two racial classifications, which include Southeast Asian hunter-gatherers, Papua New Guineans, Solomon Islanders, Vanuatuans, and indigenous Australians. Somehow, people from as far away as remote islands in the South Pacific and Australia were able to make their way across the world to the New World. It's mind-boggling to think of ancient people migrating so far and mixing with the locals. But today, more than 80% of our planet has seen influence from human activity. Studies like this show us just how little we know about how we got here and how much of an impact we have made in such a short time on our Earth. Do you have a curiosity that we might be able to quench? Tell us in the comments. And for a full recounting of how we all got where we are now, check out my new show, Test.
All right, guys. It's a very good video to give a really good summation of today's topic, earliest Americans and the migration patterns and the first migration to the Americas. Before we end today's session, we want to go over a few of the key vocabulary that we've spoke about today. One being the Bering Land Bridge. The second one being Paleo Indians. Third one is migration. The fourth one is hunter-gatherers, those type of people who migrated. And environments, which I spoke about earlier, climates and landscapes that surround living things. And the big vocabulary for today is culture. And once again, culture is a group's common or set of common values and traditions, including language, government, and family relationships. So Mr. Martin will complete the slides for today as he talks about the exit slip and when it's due.
Okay, so our exit slip today is going to be to define culture and list and describe 4 aspects of your culture here in Kentucky. And it needs to be a half a page in length. Now, when you think about here in Kentucky, it's got to be specific to Kentucky. Think of things that stand out, that are only Kentucky and part of Kentucky's culture. So I'm not going to give you any hints there, but really, if you think about a sport, what sport identifies with Kentucky? What couple sports? There's actually 2. If you think about religion, what part of that goes just to Kentucky, and so forth. It is going to be due on, is it Friday or you're?
September the 4th, Friday, September the 4th.
September the 4th, Mr. Dixon. Thank you.
All right, guys, it's good to be with you today. Look forward to seeing you in our live meets. Everybody be safe, and we'll see you for lesson 2. Have a good day.